Welcome back to the Cartek Club Enduro Championship. Now this latest encounter sees us here at Silverstone, the home of British motorsport. Matt Fazier in his Porsche 968, who's second in the championship, he could take the lead after this race depending on where he finishes. But on top of that, he could actually take the Class B championship this weekend. So let's keep an eye on him. There's 48 teams competing this weekend. We've got a 2-hour race, mandatory 3-minute pit stop, and rain is on its way. So I'll hand you up to our commentary team, Andy McEwen.
Yes, thank you very much, Anthony. A packed field of cars, and here is how they line up. It's Martin James versus the BMW of Nathan Harrison on row 1, ahead of Carl Renshaw and Luke Sedgwickowski on row 2. Andy Bailey, the Class A points leader, is on the 5th row, whilst Matt Fazier, the Class B leader, is on row number 4. Steve Houston there, you can see 27th on the grid, but he is the lead Class C driver in the points as well. So 3 different classes to watch out for. As Anthony was saying, 44 cars making up this mammoth grid for 2 hours of racing here at the Silverstone International Circuit. It is Honda versus BMW on the front row of the grid. Martin James and Nathan Harrison. Nathan Harrison taking the inside line. Pole position here is on the outside, the grippier outside line. As 2 hours of racing gets underway now. The red lights go out, the cars roar down towards turn number 1, and we're on board immediately with Rory Hind at the wheel of the number 3 BMW. It's side by side for the lead though, and Martin James, although he didn't have his nose in front going into Abbey Corner, did manage to take a bit more speed into the turn and therefore fended off the early advances of Nathan Harrison as the rest of the field streamed through. And you can see there already the great variety on the grid in the Cartek Club Enduro Championship. Everything from race prepared GT cars all the way down to road converted hot hatchbacks and everything in between. Down towards Village and the Link, in fact, they go for the first time, and dropping down the order there looks like the number 11 car. Yes, the black, blue and white BMW. That was the car that started on the inside of row number 1, Nathan Harrison, who was just slipping backwards here at the start of the race. So down towards the end of the hangar straight they go, and it's now one of the other BMWs. That's Luke Sedgwickowski's number 33 car that is starting to apply the pressure to the race leader Martin James as they go through Stowe for the first time of asking. On board now with car number 9. This is Tony Hobson in the VW Golf a bit further back. You can see the trouble here. You're trying to pick out the cars that are racing in your class, but when you've just got so many cars all trying to occupy the same bit of road, it's very difficult not to get tangled up in somebody else's battle and end up losing time in really an unnecessary fight for position. Well, there's Nathan Harrison. He has got Matt Fazier, the Class B champion-elect, behind him. We're back with Hobson in the Golf there. You can see judicious use of the road for a few drives coming out of Club Corner. Careful, if you keep on doing that, then you will be given a penalty for exceeding the track limits. Attempted move on the inside there for Steve Cheetham. He's in the purple and yellow Porsche, trying to find a way past the number 61 car, that was, I believe, wasn't it, in front of him? That was Bill Forbes. Now, those two started 8 positions apart. Bill Forbes has slipped down the order slightly at the start and is now under pressure on board with the number 15 BMW 130i. This is a car running, again, further on down the order. That's trying to make some progress from slightly lowly grid position. That car making a place there as it went up towards Village. But the race leader, Martin James, getting away from an all-BMW fight for second place, because in third place you can see we've got the number 3 car, that's Rory Hind, and then in behind him is one of the black and orange cars. That, I think, is Andy Marston, who is in third position. We'll double check that for you in a moment or two as they drop down the hill in towards Vale. Martin James, they're getting away definitely from this group of cars. Now Luke Sedgwickowski, who's got himself into second place, qualified 4th, so he was a little bit slower than a few of the cars around him. Steve Cheetham again on the attack, goes on the inside of the 83 BMW that time, down at Vale. That was a nice move made there, the 83 BMW of Ben Salmon just losing a position. You can see that Ben in the Gas Shocks liveried car has switched on the windscreen wipers. We heard Anthony say there's a bit of rain in the air. We're not anticipating a heavy rain shower, but we could just get a bit of drizzle throughout the race as the leading 10 cars or so make their way through Village. This tight right-hand hairpin, and then they deviate from the full Grand Prix circuit as they go down through the link. So as they're turning left, hard left at least there at the loop, they sort of take a flat-out kink at the left and head off onto the link. There's the number 58 car. That's a car that we didn't see last time out in the championship, and we last covered the series at Rockingham. That's the little Ginetta G40. That is trying desperately to fend off the Mazda MX-5 number 27 behind of Alex Duffy. For the time being is successful in doing so. On board with Rory Hind again, though in third position. there's the fight for 4th position behind him between the two black and orange BMWs run out of different teams. It is indeed Andy Marston who's in 4th position in car number 16, and behind him the car that started 3rd on the grid, Carl Redshaw. That's Carl Redshaw, the ADT Motorsport car, which is just dropping backwards now into the clutches of another BMW, and this is the recovering BMW of Nathan Harrison, who really, he got a good initial launch, didn't he, from the rolling start. The BMW a bit more powerful than the Honda Civic and Martin James that he shared the front row with, but Martin James was on the wider line, was able to take a bit more speed into the first corner at Abbey. And Martin James, who still is looking for his first Club Enduro Championship victory, of course. He's had various issues over the last few races. And of course he was leading in dominant fashion at Rockingham when he had a drive shaft failure which put him out of the race. So Martin James very, very close to winning, but not quite having achieved it yet. There's Bill Forbes again in the white number 61 BMW making his way down the Hanger Straight, where there are yellow flags at the end of the straight. So there's no overtaking in this part of the circuit. Now why is that? One car already unfortunately falling by the wayside. Not entirely sure who that might be. We'll have to try and find that out for you as well as soon as we can. Down towards Vale, the battle now once again on, and he'd be forgiven for thinking that this was one of the 750 Motor Club's M3 races, because they run a very successful series for the type of car that we're seeing racing here, in particular Andy Marston's vehicle. That could be taken straight off that grid. For second place though, it is side by side towards Abbey Corner, and Rory Hind has got to the inside of Luke Sedgwickowski and is going to go through. Nice move, superior traction and superior exit speed from Club Corner, and the number 3 car goes through. Now Rory Hind started 8th and is really making good progress, and I'll be interested to see, as long as he fends off Luke Sedgwickowski, who's trying to come back at him, I'll be interested to see whether or not he's able to chase down the race leader behind. They were side by side as well, and yes, we've had the change there as well. Carl Redshaw has gone past the BMW of Andy Marston, so Andy Marston dropping a place, Luke Sedgwickowski dropping a place, but it is still 5 BMW M3s, and you can throw a very small blanket over the lot of them. Already the race leader though, Martin James, is approaching back markers, and it was the BMW Compact that he was catching first of all there to put a lap down, that of David Downey. So that now will start to become the flavour of the race really, as everybody tries to pick their way through the slower traffic without impeding themselves too much, potentially losing positions themselves. Back with the number 9 car of Tony Hobson here, the VW Golf going down the Hanger Straight. Now there is the issue, there's a car parked to the left-hand side of the road. Looked like another one of the BMW Compacts, didn't it, that perhaps have come into grief, but there you can get a good view of Tony Hobson's new shape VW Golf. And of course, the great thing about these cars is that the vast majority of them are eligible to race in many different series, an awful lot of them underneath the 750 Motor Club banner, so you get great value for money with this type of car, and really cost-effective racing. There's no such thing as cheap motor racing, unfortunately. If there was, then more people would do it, but cost-effective, that's certainly something that you can achieve by racing with the 750 Motor Club. Side by side again here between the two orange and black BMWs, and that is Andy Marston going back through ahead of Carl Redshaw. Nice move made there, so back into 4th position now goes Andy Marston, having started 6th. Of course, Redshaw started 3rd, so didn't qualify ahead of him. They make their way back down the Hanger Straight. It doesn't look as though Rory Hind is making a huge break, does it, from Luke Sedgwickowski behind him? You can just pick them out behind, but they are both catching the race leader. Martin James struggling a bit in traffic now. It looks to me as though that front splitter is possibly starting to scrape on the ground, and that would be a definite issue for the race leader. Hope that doesn't start to come into play. Rory Hind, who we're on board with here in 2nd position, the older shape BMW M3. Rory Hind, the E36 shape BMW, which is still a very potent machine though indeed. A little bit lighter maybe than some of the new cars actually, which does help it through the corners, but it's still got ample speed in a straight line. Nathan Harrison there flashing the lights at the back markers. Good battle going on here. That's Mark Harris in the Honda Civic trying to get up the inside and not quite succeeding in doing so of Ben Salmon's BMW. They're both trying to chase down Steve Cheatham's Porsche, and they're being reeled in by one of the Seat Leons behind. So it's all going on in the midfield, isn't it? And that's what we love about this championship. Great battles right the way through the field. So Martin James works his way out into the Hanger Straight. You can see that front splitter continuing to drag on the ground. This will be a concern for both him and the team, that's for sure. He's about to catch, though, the number 70 BMW. Now, that is the BMW of Steve Hewson and Matt Nossiter, championship leaders coming into this race, but they had a burst power steering hose in the assembly area just before the race got going. They've managed to get it fixed, clearly, but he started from the pit lane and will really be keen to try and work his way up the order so as to not lose too many championship points. But great job by the team there to get the car out on circuit and not lose too much ground. The BMW battle continues down towards the Vale and Club section of the track. The number 16 car there, that's the Marston and Evans car trying to make further ground as the Rockingham winners work their way out of Club Corner, using quite a lot of the curb again out to the final turn. There, Martin James about to catch one of the cars that we will really be keen to watch as the race unfolds to see how they get on and whether or not that issue has been fully resolved. Here comes the Nathan Harrison BMW looking to the inside towards Village. There's no way through there, but the Marston and Evans car could be about to lose a position there, I think, as they came into view, wheel to wheel, the two sort of similarly liveried cars. But no, it is the newer shaped BMW, slightly newer shaped at least, that stays just about ahead of the number 40 example. That's the Carl Redshaw and Daniel Taylor car. There goes the Hyden Fitzgerald BMW passing the Nossiter and Hewson car. That was one of the favourites coming into the race, of course, for class victory. And although they're being overtaken by some of the quicker cars now, they are not a million miles behind the other Class C cars. And really, it's however many points you score within your class that is of the most relevance. So they'll be keen to try and catch some of these cars, some of the Class C cars that are working their way now through clubs. So you can see they're not a million miles behind them at all. There is the little Janetta again that's still battling away. That's the Steve Nadarajan and Jamie Stanley car, which is just in behind a pair of Mazda MX-5s and just in front of another Mazda MX-5. That's the number 27 machine that is applying the pressure, Alex Duffy and John Munro. And just in front of them, we've got a couple of the Paul Sheard Racing entries. And these are two of the cars that we expect to be fighting for the class victory as the day goes on. Just in Newnham there, the 168 car, the 93 in behind. That's Jeff Gurrier and Russell Tamplin's car. And these are cars that are fighting for positions on the podium, albeit this is early stages, of course. These are podium potential finishing cars in Class C. And as they come out onto the hangar straight, we look in the background, well, there are the race leaders, and we know that not far behind them is the Nossiter and Hewson BMW. There it is, so they're not that far behind. All is not lost, but it really was a fantastic effort by the team, and how significant could that prove to be at the end of the race? Let's see if they can score any points. This is the battle for the race lead. Rory Hind has closed in on Martin James, and right on our bumper is the third place man Nathan Harrison. The fourth place battle is absolutely swamped by slower traffic, but we're on board with the second place man now, trying to take advantage maybe of the slightly damaged front end of the Civic in front of him. Meanwhile, two very similar looking cars together, in their shape at least. That's number 13 car, Matt Feisey, diving up the inside of one of the other Porsches out there and gaining position up at the Vale. Matt Feisey still on, it would seem, for a really good result in Class B. We're very early on in this race, only about 13 minutes in. Lots of cars using lots of runoff area coming out of Club Corner. Matt Feisey is still leading the way in his class, excuse me, I should say. Certainly in the championship, looking very strong indeed. He worked his way through. Matt Feisey, who's been up there, he had a second placed finish at Alton Park and Rockingham outright, and that really is a giant killing performance for what is a very reliable Class C Porsche. The Class C car's not quite as quick, but often a little bit less highly strung, and they can maybe last to the end of the race in one piece. Now, where is Nathan Harrison? Nathan Harrison is no longer in this lead group, so something's happened to the man who was really carving his way up the order. And now it's Rory Hind who's got one of the black and orange BMWs behind him. That is Andy Marston trying to find a way past him. So this is the lead battle. It's still a three-way fight, but Martin James comes into the pit lane. So Martin James, possibly as a result of that damaged front splitter, is into the pit lane, and that, I suspect, is not a scheduled stop. We're far too early, and we're not quite into the pit lane window. So that, unfortunately, looks as though, once again, Martin James, in one of the fastest cars out there, and he is undoubtedly one of the fastest drivers out there, is not going to be able to come home with the race victory. We'll have to see what happens. A long way to go, of course. This is endurance racing, so you can come back from early dramas, but not all that easily. Through comes the 33 car of Luke Sejkowski, carving his way past the back markers. That's the 93 Mazda that he was getting past that time around. And the 93 car stays well out of the way. Nicely done. Into the pit lane there, they can see Martin James. They are indeed looking at the front end of that Honda Civic. So that front splitter appears to have just come loose. I don't think he's hit anything. He's been out in front the whole way, and it was already loose before he caught the back marker. So it looks like it's just come loose of his own accord. Unfortunately, the Civic in big trouble. So that hands the race leader then to Rory Hind, with Andy Marston right on his tail. Third place is Carl Redshaw. Fourth place for Luke Sedgwickowski. And Matt Feisey, continuing this really great performance that we've seen from him all season, is into the top 5 in the Porsche. He's about to put a lap on this very entertaining Mazda and Ginetta tussle. And the 68, obviously the 168 car, Justin Newnham, former Mazda MX-5 Super Cup racer, trying to go around the outside there of Stefan Nadarajan in the Ginetta. Car that he will share with very experienced racing driver Jamie Stanley. With Jamie, who takes over the car at the pit stop. There's another Mazda in this group, and this, I believe, the grey and green car is one of the real pioneers of Mazda MX-5 racing, Paul Sheard, who runs all of the Mazda MX-5, the Mark III Mazda MX-5s that you're seeing in race, with the exception of the silver and pink one on your screen now. It's just gone a lap down to Matt Feisey in 5th position. This is the fight for 6th position then flashing through. You can see it's very close battles all the way through the order, including at the front of the field where we're side by side for the race lead, and Andy Marston going past Rory Hind here. Rory trying to fight back on the inside of the link. This is for the lead of the race, and Andy Marston goes through, becomes the 3rd different leader inside the first quarter of an hour of what has already been a hugely entertaining race. Dare I say, already a lot more lively than the previous race we covered at Rockingham. Lots of great racing going on, but not just in the midfield, at the very front of the field as well. So Andy Marston now hits the front of the field, and Andy Marston, who is always there or thereabouts, isn't he, in these Cartek Club Enduro Championship races. And Andy Marston, who currently sits in 4th position in the Class A Championship, running well in this race. Right, we can head back down to Anthony now in the pit lane, who's got some Toyota MR2 troubles.
Thanks, Andy. And down in the pit lane with Andy Chapman, with what looks like a very expired Toyota MR2 Turbo. Andy, what's happened?
It's overheated, we think. Possibly the head gasket's gone. We had some earlier problems where we had a leak from the front rad. One of the pipes came off the front rad. We think the overheat from that has caused possibly a problem with the head gasket now. So very disappointed with that. We started from the back of the grid as well. We didn't get gridded properly, so starting from there, we're taking a few of the cars. Felt we had a race on, and to come in with that is really disappointing.
Right. Well, it's terminal for now. Is it going to be fixable for the next round?
Well, we're supposed to be at Anglesey, but we'll see whether or not the car makes it for then. There are a few other changes we need to make, but I think for the rest of the series, we may not see it by then. We don't know. We don't know.
Well, hopefully we'll see it again, but for now, commiserations.
Thank you.
So with that, I'll hand you back up to our commentator, Andy McEwen.
Yeah, thanks very much, Anthony. We rejoin this sensational battle for the lead of the race. Rory Hind and Andy Marston. And Andy Marston getting tripped up by back markers here. Rory Hind almost saw an opportunity to slip up the inside, but in the end, the road was blocked, and they both have to go up the inside of the back marker. You can see that Carl Redshaw's not far behind in 3rd position. And then the gap back to the 4th place man, Luke Sedgwickowski, who's just come out of club corner in the background. Then got some more back markers before 5th place there, the white Porsche. And then this is one of the battles going on for, I think, about 7th or 8th position between another couple of PMWs. There are PMWs up and down the field, all of them, it would seem, involved in some really entertaining battles. So that's the 6th place car, just flashing through. Then this is the fight for 7th position. It's the 95 car that holds 7th position. That's Andy Bailey, Class A points leader, the car that he shares with Luke Slevitz. And the Mint Alloys car is not running right at the front of the Class A field in this race, but scoring some solid points. They've got a decent margin, 9 points in total they have as a championship lead. And that lead is over the Julie McBride and Jeff Steele E46 M3. Didn't qualify all that well. They qualified 9th on the grid for this one. Also, though, in that battle towards the tail end of the top 10. And there in the background, you can see the M4 of Nathan Harrison. So, whatever happened to Nathan, we don't know exactly. He must have had an off-track excursion somewhere. But he's dropped right down the order, side by side there. The 78 car trying to get up the inside. That's Kevin Dengate trying to get past Andy Bailey. Nothing doing, though, down at Stoke Corner. They've got the Mini in front of them as well, which is, I think, Vicky Brooks staying out of the way. Nicely done. Vicky Brooks doing the whole race on her own in the Mini Cooper SR53. We have had the change there, so Dengate took advantage of that to get past the 95 car. Moves through, so the Class A Championship leader losing another place there to another Class A car as well, crucially. So they carve their way back through. Now, news from the pit lane as well regarding Martin James. They've sent the car back on its way. It's lost quite a bit of time. However, that did count as its mandatory pit stop. So Martin James will not have to pit again. There is Martin working his way through Vale. So this car has made a pit stop. It looks like they've possibly elected to take the front splitter off entirely rather than try and tape it back together. So he'll be a little bit down on front downforce, but that did count as the mandatory stop. So if the rest of the race now runs, particularly if it runs safety car free, Martin could still benefit from this because he's made his stop and everyone else still has to make a 3-minute stop anyway. The good thing about this 3-minute pit stop time, the minimum pit stop time, is that whether you come in for a mandatory stop or an unscheduled one, you have to spend the same amount of time there. So if you come in unscheduled, you've still got 3 minutes to repair the car before you actually start losing any time, if you see what I mean. So it may well be that they've dodged a bit of a bullet there, Martin James, and he should, as long as there are no sort of badly timed safety cars, he should still be able to be in contention come the end of the race. He's definitely got the speed. He makes his way out onto the back straight now. I don't believe that he lost a lap either there, so oh no, I'll tell you now, I think he has lost 1 lap potentially. We'll see whether or not he can get that back. Now, yes, he will have lost a lap because he was in there for the 3 minutes, and of course a lap time around here about a minute and a quarter or so. Pole position for Martin James was 1 minute 14.3. There's the 102 BMW working its way through Club Corner. That car running not inside the top 10 anymore, but qualified 12th actually in the hands of Martin Duffy. In close proximity is Tony Hobson, who wheels the VW Golf down the pit straight. Tony Hobson qualified 22nd, so he made some good ground. We saw him making some overtakes on the opening lap or two, has continued to do so. There, the 168 car of Justin Newnham staying out of the way of the quicker 102 BMW up at Village. As they work their way now down on towards the link once more and along the Hanger Straight. So BMW running well here. BMWs in general seeming to be coming to the fore here at Silverstone, but they are a really well balanced car. The M3 BMW always has been a good racing car, no matter what guys it's been running under. It's got good straight line speed, good chassis, good front end on the car, good traction of course being rear wheel drive. There is a mix of rear and front wheel drive cars on the grid in this championship of course. And, the rear wheel drive cars have their own advantages, the front wheel drive cars have theirs. Balanced out really nicely. It does tend to be that the more powerful cars are rear-wheel drive. They're the ones that make their way to the front. Nathan Harrison there, we just caught a glimpse of, going up the inside of Kevin Dengate. So Nathan continuing to work his way back up the top 10 after his mystery drama a few laps ago. You can see the M4 car now ahead of the red M3, and his next target is only just up the road as well. So should be able to possibly gain another position before too much longer, should Nathan. And then he's got a bit of clear air to work with to try and catch back up to the top 5 or so. One of the BMW compacts running a bit further back there, that's the 87 car. It's Andrew Winchester who has started that car. Andrew Winchester from Aberdeen, who is a regular appearer in this championship. And there's our second place car, Andy Marston. Excuse me, race leader, excuse me, of course, I forget that he's got past Rory behind, hasn't he? We're on board with Rory though, who as you can see is well and truly keeping him honest as they rush down towards turn number 1. They're just starting to make a slight break now from Carl Renshaw in third. Not an enormous one, but a small break. And Andy Marston, there will be certain areas of the circuit where his slightly newer M3 is quicker, and there will be certain areas where the slightly lighter but older car is a bit quicker, of Rory Hind. Both of these drivers, of course, are sharing the car as well. Andy Marston will hand over to Brett Evans at the pit stop, Rory Hind to Owen Fitzgerald, so that adds an extra dynamic to the race. If one driver is a little bit quicker than the other, then that can often change the way that the the way that the race pans out. If you have your quicker driver in, they will, of course, run a little bit higher up the order, and then maybe hand over to a slower driver who will start to drop down the order, or vice versa, of course. It keeps us on our toes, but it's not mandatory in this championship to run 2 drivers in your car. You can just run it all on your own. And that's what several drivers do, the likes of Martin James and Sejkowski, Julian McBride, Matt Fires, of course, we've spoken about in the Class B Porsche 968. They will do these races all on their own. 2 hours is a long time to be in the car, but it's not too long. Indeed, we see some drivers doing the 3-hour races all on their own, as indeed we saw last time out at Rockingham for Martin James. Now, they have had a couple of races at Spa since we last saw them. So this is the 5th round of the championship, a 7-round calendar for the Cartek Club Enduro Championship. takes them to some of the great racetracks around the country, as well as that overseas appearance, of course, at Spa. Enduro's next round, I believe, will be at Snetterton as well towards the end of the year, so they have some good variety of circuits. They lost, of course, their opening round, unfortunately, at Donington Park due to inclement weather. Now, that was a car that had just pulled off. I think that was the 90 car Joe Crittenden and Matthew Broadbent in the MGZR 160 that had pulled off. Yes, just there on the exit of Club Corner. Now, the marshals are in attendance. It looks like it's broken down rather than gone off, but that, I'm almost certain, is going to require a tow, and that I'm equally certain will require a safety car period, so this could really throw a spanner in the works. We'll keep our eyes peeled for any activity from the end of the pit lane from the safety car. Here is this BMW battle that's raging on, though, making his way up through Stowe Corner. That's the 125 car of Darren Ball, working his way along, just in behind the Kevin Dengate car, the red machine. This is the lead battle, though, and it continues to rage on with Rory Hind applying the pressure to Andy Marston, but so far no mistakes coming from the race leader. Rory himself, though, we didn't see exactly how he lost the lead. We saw the move happening, but we didn't see how it started, whether that was maybe born out of a mistake. They're about to put Nadarajan in the Ginetta lap down, and Nadarajan doesn't exactly leap out of Andy Marston's way. Now, Andy should have the power to overhaul him fairly easily down the straight, which he does, and actually Rory Hind also ran a bit deep into the corner behind him, so there is no real gain or loss of time for either driver there. They both got through the corner at more or less the same speed, but they're starting to put these cars lap down for the second time now. Of course, such is the speed differential. This is something that's definitely going to be a feature of the race. There was about a 12-second spread of lap times in qualifying between the quickest and the slowest cars. So multiply that over a 2-hour race. Some of these cars are going to be lapped several times. Got the Clio cornering on its door there, practically through Club Corner. That was the number 7 car by the looks of it, Robert Carter and Stuart Claverley. 197. Rory Hind just not quite having as good a time in the traffic as Andy Marston. You can see there that he had to go into the second apex of the club on a much tighter line than the leader, and look at the time that loses him not only to the race leader but also to Carl Redshaw behind him. So Carl Redshaw in 3rd position is now right on the tail of the white BMW in front, so could be about to move back up into the 2nd spot here. He's not quite close enough into Village, but as they work their way out of Village and up along the short chute through the link and out onto the Hanger Straight, he's definitely close enough to get a bit of a tow down the straight. Now, these two cars, there is a bit of an age differential between them. Of course, it is Redshaw who has the newer car. Will that equal a bit more straight line speed? Well, let's see. We're riding on board with Rory Hind now as we go underneath the circuit access bridge, and is he going to feel the need to move over to defend? The answer is no, because look at the car scoot away in a straight line. So Rory Hind's car is very, very potent in a straight line, defying its age perhaps somewhat, and manages to pull away from Redshaw on that part of the circuit, so he should therefore have the pace to hold on to 2nd, and he would hope get back onto terms with the race leader. Now, no sign of a safety car just yet, so that's telling me that we're hopefully going to deal with this stricken MG on the exit of Club Corner under yellow flags. Whoops, that was a close moment for the race leader there. Every time you overtake one of these back markers, you sort of take your destiny into your own hands, because it can all so easily go horribly wrong. The slightest little bit of contact can put you both out of the race, and that will not be good news at all. Behind there, slipping his way between traffic. We've got Justin Newnham's car there on the left, the Master MX-5 with rear bumper trailing. And this is a prime example of how things ebb and flow in endurance racing, because you may lose out in the traffic on one lap, but the next lap, all of a sudden you could gain ground. And look at the way that Rory Hind has now taken advantage of those last few back markers, maybe not making life so difficult for the race leader, Andy Marston. And Rory Hind's actually been able to gain a bit of time now, leading BMW that time around. So the lead gap just starts to creep back down again ever so slightly by an enormous amount. Of course, it will change again in the very next corner. There's the 93 Mazda MX-5 as well, which we've seen dicing away all race long. Really, that's Jeff Gurrier, another Mazda racing veteran of sorts. Certainly been racing in Mazda MX-5 for a long time, and he almost turns in. In fact, he does turn into Vale, regardless of the fact that the race leader was up the inside. So that will have no doubt hurt Marston's run through there again. And this time around, at the exact corner where it all seemed to go wrong for the second place man a lap or so ago, Rory Hind is able to make big gains on the race leader, and with a better run out of Club Corner and superior straight line speed, Rory Hind might be able to get up the inside in towards Abbey Corner. He goes for it, but Andy Marston with a wider line line in, is able to carry more speed through the turn, and just as we saw on the first lap between Martin James and Nathan Harrison, the outside line tends to prevail there, ironically, and now they've got Pat Markers running side by side in front of them. One I think is Tony Hobson, and the other one is the Mini that we were discussing earlier on of the 97 car, wasn't it? Sorry, 107 car, excuse me, Vicky Brooks. And this battle is going to continue to rage. Let's head down, though, for the time being into the pit lane, find out what Anthony's got for us.
So it looks like some trouble for Howard Harris, trying to get the car started. They're trying to bump start it down the pit lane, but failed.
Well, in-depth analysis of the situation there from Anthony down in the pits. I'm sure he'll be on the case to try and figure out what the problem is. The leaders, though, are nose to tail again as they go through Stowe Corner. Traffic definitely playing its part in this battle here, but that is very entertaining for us because it's creating quite the action at the front of the field. Andy Marston still hanging on, the black, red and orange number 16 BMW ahead of the white and black number 3 BMW, the older spec M3, and not that far behind them is the number 40 BMW M3, but a third different generation of M3 represented here in the podium battle. Carl Redshaw in third position. The car that sort of slots in between these two age-wise. It's a bit newer than Hind's car, it's a bit older than Marston's car, but Hind that time around did not get into Abbey Corner right. He missed the apex by quite some distance, loses speed through the turn as a result. Now this is Matt Feisey in the Porsche, the Class B Porsche, starting to get involved with some of the Class A BMWs. That's Kevin Dengate that he's trying to find a way past, and he's going to try and go right round the outside at Club Corner. That's a brave move. In fairness, Dengate leaves him plenty of room on the outside of the turn, and the Porsche will now try and go around the outside again up at the next corner at Abbey, but the Class A BMW with a bit more poke in a straight line is able to hang on, but Matt Feisey is not afraid to stick it to some of the more powerful cars, and you know, he's on the verge of winning the Class B Championship anyway, so I suppose he's not particularly concerned about points. He's more interested in trying to go out there and get an outright result that maybe see him appear on the podium once again. Meanwhile, lead battle as close as ever. Rory Hind's been able to bounce back from that little moment that he had up at Abbey Corner at the start of the lap. He's back with Marston now, who again just seems to struggle off the corners. That newer M3 is a bit heavier, and it does seem to be a bit more tail happy, and so Hind once again carries good speed onto the pit straight. We're on board with the second place car now. There's a back marker up the road as well, though. Hind goes up the inside towards Abbey Corner, can't quite do it. Back to Anthony in the pits.
Some problems for the Howard and Harris Honda Civic Type R. The team's working on it furiously. Throttle cable snaps, they got to the bottom of it. It's just a race against time to get it fixed.
Right, thanks very much, Anthony. So that explains what the issue was there. At the front of the field, though, this race is keeping us all enthralled, as Rory Hind seems at certain times to be quicker than Andy Marston, but every time he gets close enough to have a go, he just seems to come unstuck slightly, doesn't he? So this is going to be really, really close between the two of them. You can see in the background up into fourth place now is Nathan Harrison, who we're hearing had a puncture early on in the race and had to make an unscheduled pit stop, so that's why he dropped down the order. He's starting to fight back now as Andy Marston has a very, very close call there with the Seat Leon, and Rory Hind, I think, almost had to back off in avoidance of an accident there to avoid getting into the back of the cars in front of him. So Hind again though tries to build up the challenge now through Club Corner. Now watch this, he takes really good speed through this second part of the corner. He's a bit tighter, runs out over the curve and then gets in the slipstream across the start finish line. And Rory Hind, can he get to the inside towards Abbey Corner? There's another Honda Civic though that sort of, they both had to go up the inside of, so in the end there is just no way through there. More traffic up the road now as well for the leaders to go negotiate. We've got the 101 car there, which we haven't seen yet. That's the car of Nick Grove and Carlo Turner. Tony Hobson we're on board with. He's about to put a lap on that car. He's still battling away, isn't he, with that Gaz Shocks livery BMW that he's been racing with actually pretty much since the drop of the green flag. 101 car staying nicely out of the way. Nick and Carlo, again, veterans of this championship. They've been around for quite some time. Carlo, general manager for a European groupage operator, and Nick, a sales consultant. Right, back down into the pit lane then. What has Anthony got for us this time?
Thanks, Andy. I've found the driver of the Civic Type R, Mark Harris. Throttle cable snaps, but you're having quite a fight out there.
Fantastic fight, it really was. It was brilliant. And the start was just amazing. I love these rolling starts. Really great. And it was a super cope, I think, but he took me, I took him, he took me. Really good. Enjoyed it.
Of course, for the Howard and Harris Honda Civic Type R.
You got your team working.
Tried to bump start here, but it looks like they came
should be a few more minutes, but the co-driver's going to go for the next one, so hopefully he'll get out of the car. So yeah, but we're here for fun and it's great. Brilliant. Love it.
This is got a class as one of your mandatory pit stops as well, isn't it?
Sorry?
This is a class as one of your pit stops as well.
Yes, but we've had that 3 minutes. I think it's now 10, so I don't think we've got much chance of coming up in the top 3, but we'll keep fighting. It's good.
Yeah, well, the sky's looking a bit ominous. Could be rain on the way.
Yeah, that's when I take myself off the track when the rain comes. So this might have been in preparation for that, yeah. No, I don't like the rain, but nice, brilliant, really good.
Thanks for talking to us, Mark.
Thank you.
Cheers. Good luck.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
So, with that, I'll hand you back up to Andy.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. As we are on board with Tony Hobson, and look at that going past him side by side are the race leaders of Rory Hind up the inside line. Can he this time wrestle the lead away from Andy Marston? He can. And so once again, we have another lead change here. In what has been a sensational opening half of the race, Rory Hind on a tear. He's looked a bit quicker than Marston for the last few laps, but can he now have a bit of better look in the traffic than Andy Marston had to pull away? Well, already they're starting to get into it there as they try and dice their way past these battling cars. Of course, this is the difficulty for the back markers. They may not be running on the race leader's pace, but they are having their own battles, and yes, they want to try and stay out of the way of the quicker cars, but that's easier said than done without losing yourself ground in your own personal battle. You can see there Tony Hobson taking advantage of that, dives up the inside of the 83 BMW Ben Salmon and finally takes the place away from him because Ben appeared to lose a bit more time in or being lapped. So it doesn't just affect the quicker cars lapping, it has an effect on the cars they're lapping as well. Oh, that's a big drama. That's the number 95 car. That is our championship leader in Class A, Andy Bailey. And Andy Bailey has had a big off down at Vale, and it looked to me as though a wheel had come off the car. Now, whether that was cause or effect, I'm not too sure. But Andy Bailey off and into the gravel trap down at Vale. But that really puts their championship lead in jeopardy. So more drama here at Silverstone. We've had some great racing on the track, and now the championship starting to take some twists and turns as well. Into the pit lane, meanwhile, is the newer VW Golf. That's Michael Parsons' example. That appears to have some attention being given to the front left corner. So what that problem is, I don't know. But the VW Golf in a little bit of trouble, but in even more trouble, unfortunately, is Andy Bailey, the car that he shares, remember, with Luke Schlevitz. And they are 9 points ahead of anybody else in the Class A Championship, but a non-finish potentially on the cards here for them at Silverstone could really, really put a fly in the ointment as far as their championship charge is concerned. Well, drama aplenty. Here we've got Nathan Harrison, who I believe I said before is in 4th place. I think he's still a lap down, actually. Oh, contact, that's, oh no! A spin there for the Porsche of Steve Cheatham. He got into the side of Nadarajan in the Ginetta, and he's now pointing the wrong way in the middle of the road.
Michael Parsons is going back out. He's just coming in on a tyre change. If we can look over here. So Michael Parsons of Volkswagen Golf just come back out. He's had a tyre change. It's delaminated, as you can see. What would cause that? What would cause that?
I don't know. This is the second time we've had a problem with the same brand of tyre. They replaced one, but we've got exactly the same issue again. So when it comes in next time, we'll probably replace all 4 and put a different setup, different manufacturer's tyres on. So
it looks like it's delaminated from the inside.
Yeah, it has. And it's an issue we had before. They say there's no problem, but obviously there is.
Well, thanks for talking to us.
No problem.
Yes.
Well, there we go. Drama aplenty in the pit lane. Even more drama out on the track. But Rory Hind it is who leads the way. Now he will hand over at the pit stops, remember, to Owen Fitzgerald. We'll have to wait and see who is the quicker out of the two, but the safety car has been scrambled. Now this is as a result of Andy Bailey's car being off in the gravel trap down at Vale, and this is going to mean that this place becomes very, very busy indeed, because the safety car you can see has picked up, actually not the race leader, he's picked up Martin James. Now that's significant as well, because Martin James, I believe, is now possibly going to get himself back onto the lead lap, because he will catch up the rear end of the Crocodile, but they are all about to pit, so he will leap in front of them and possibly get himself back into contention here. But yes, everyone is now going to surely dive for the pit lane this time around, and this could really change the complexion of the race. So Rory Hind it is that leads the way. Already in is Matt Feisey. Now this could be significant because he's been able to pit a lap earlier, but he will get, of course, you still have to spend 3 minutes in the pit lane, but you can sort of get a bit of a free pit stop sometimes when you pit behind the safety car, because everybody else is going much more slowly out on the circuit. You lose less ground than you would do if you did this under green flag, because a safety car lap around here is probably almost 3 minutes in duration, and so certainly over 2 minutes, whereas a racing lap is 1.25 minutes. So you can see that you lose a lot more ground when you pit under green than you do when you pit under yellow. So the race leader then is Rory Hines. Second place is Andy Marston. Third place, remember, is still Carl Redshaw, and then we had fourth place with Sedgwickowski, and fifth place was Fizey, but Fizey is pitted. I don't think Sedgwickowski has. I think he's still in this queue somewhere, albeit a bit further back, but in comes the race leader. Rory Hind is in. Oh, no, excuse me. No, he's not. Hind stays out, and that's interesting. So too does Marston, so not everybody choosing to pit on this occasion. That's strange. I thought that we might see a few more dive in. There is the reason for the safety car, and you can see why. Andy Bailey's car definitely in a precarious position, and more to the point, it's harder to recover the car from there than it would be elsewhere, because you're right in the firing line, and of course the safety of the very hard-working British Marshals has to come first, so they've decided to throw the safety car to get this incident dealt with. Now, I did notice in the background that Luke Sedgwickowski, I believe, had pitted, so too in, as we've seen, is the 13 car of Matt Fizey. This could be a real masterstroke from Luke Sedgwickowski to pit that lap earlier. I wonder whether a lot of drivers stayed out thinking that the pit lane was going to be busier this time, and they thought, you know what, we'll stay out an extra lap so as not to get tangled up with anybody in the pit lane. But then, of course, if everyone has the same idea, then you just have the same problem when you do pit. So that may well be a good strategy. It might not be. That's the BMW Compact that stopped early on in the race. That's David Downey's example, the number 71 car that he will race on his own over the course of the race. Now they're going to try and get it started again, possibly get it back to the pit lane and back into the race, but that car, of course, is some 30 laps down or so now after a result of its stopping earlier on. You can see why a few drivers maybe decided to stay out of pit later, because you can see just how congested it gets in the pit lane. It's an awfully long pit lane here at Silverstone, but it's remarkable when you've got such a big field as this, 36 cars that were lined up on the grid. It's still very much possible to get caught up in dramas in the pit lane. You think it was a safe place, but the pit lane can be very dangerous indeed, and it's important that you have your wits about you even when you come into the pits. Now, at the back of the safety car queue, I think I spotted a blue and white Honda Civic, which means that Martin James has indeed been able to get past the safety car and close in on the tail of the group. When everyone else pits, he'll get back to the front of the queue and, in theory, be waved back around again onto the lead lap. Well, down in the pit lane, it's very busy indeed, and right in amongst it all is Anthony.
I'm here with Graham McMurchie, racing in the Mazda MX-5. It's a team run by Wrexham University. Graham, you're about to do your first stint. Safety car's out. How are you feeling?
Excited. Good time to change driver. Tactics are going to work here, I think.
Yeah, it's 45 minutes in. Rain's holding off at the moment. Would you welcome it?
I'd quite like a bit of rain, to be honest.
Right, it looks like you're about to go.
Gives us a chance over the faster cars. They can't get a grip. We can.
Good stuff. What are you hoping for?
We just need a top sort of 5 finish, really. Podium would be nice, but there's a lot of fast cars here.
There certainly is, but you've got a great team behind you.
We have, yeah. They're very good, these kids. They try hard.
Well, yeah. Well, John was telling me that he drilled it into him, the techniques and everything about the pit stops. Yeah. So you just go out and drive now.
I am. Cheers.
Cheers, Graham. Take care.
Well, thanks, Anthony. Pit lane is now starting to become very busy indeed. There's the driver change. In he gets, straight into the car. And they'll give the windscreen a quick wash as well. Make sure that any sort of dead flies or bits of debris on there have been moved out of the way. Now you can see the leaders are still not rushing into the pit lane. They're going to stay out an extra lap here, it would seem. Maybe waiting to pit after the safety car, though I'm not convinced that's necessarily the right strategy, but let's wait and see. They're certainly spacing the pit stops out here at the front. It is going to give us a fascinating second half of the race. We're about 45 minutes into this 2-hour encounter here on the Silverstone International Circuit. It's still anybody's guess. We've had 4 or 5 different leaders, 4 or 5 different lead changes. The racing throughout the field has been absolutely exceptional, and I'm really looking forward to seeing once this safety car comes back in, what's going to happen over the second half of the race. Rory Hind leads the way from Andy Marston in second position, but is that going to be the way they finish in another hour and a quarter's time? Well, only time will tell.
Thanks, Andy. I'm in the paddock where I'm joined by the drivers of car 95, the BMW E46. Andy, you were in the car at the time.
I was.
The wheels torn off. The discs just been annihilated. What's happened?
I'd love to say I knew exactly what had happened. I don't know. I was just on the brakes, went to turn in, and the back of the car dropped down. Bit of a graunching noise, and then sitting in the gravel trap, I saw my wheel go past me. But then I come back here, and we've obviously somehow the studs have sheared off. But I've got no idea why, because we had no vibration, no noises. I don't know. It seems to be a track. So I used to do the old Ford Puma Cup and did exactly the same thing here with one of those. Lost a rear wheel, but maybe it's the circuit.
Or
Your driving, yeah, one or the other.
It takes some force to do that. It's 5 studs sheared completely off.
Yeah.
I don't know, I've lost the words.
I've got no idea. I don't know. I can't comment. I just don't know. There's been no contact. I haven't been mounting the curbs. It literally braked, turned, wheel fell off. I ended up in the gravel trap, and that's kind of how it went.
So if you can get the studs out, can you replace them and get it back out, or is it a new hub?
No, it's done the disc as well, and it's also we've got a diff cooler at the back, and it's because it dropped down, it's punched the suspension through the radiator, so I've got no oil in my diff now. So that's it, unfortunately. Trailer and home.
Commiserations, because we saw you take top spot on the podium at Rockingham as well.
Yeah, I know. It's been a tough couple of races. His last race we got punted out by a car that was 2 laps down. He T-boned us. You know, it's just. But that's racing. You know, you win some, you lose some. So you'll have to just come back to Snet and hopefully have a good race for that.
I look forward to seeing that. Thank you for speaking to us.
No worries. See you again.
Well, thanks, Anthony. So the mystery deepens then as far as what happened to Andy Bailey out on the track, but it does mean that he and Luke Slevitz, well, they may end up losing their Class A championship lead. It's not for certain yet, of course. It depends where some of their nearer rivals in the championship end up in this race, but yeah, that's not been a particularly good start to their race. Well, a good start to the race. They were up there inside the top 10, but things then really going sour later on. The good news for us, though, is that the safety car is about to come into the pit lane and release the field back out onto the circuit with the number 3 car out in front, the BMW that is shared between Rory Hind and Owen Fitzgerald. And the safety car peels in, the lights, the cars, excuse me, start to accelerate down towards Vale Corner, and it is the job of the race leader to dictate when the pace starts to pick up and by how much, but once you do accelerate, you're not allowed to then suddenly slow down again. None of those sort of games allowed. There's the number 11 car that Nathan Harrison started, which had that early puncture we heard, the M4, but that car that looks absolutely fantastic, doesn't it? He shares it with Mika Brown, and Mika Brown traditionally has raced in Aston Martin GT4 cars in this championship, now at the wheel of the BMW instead. So racing underway once again, and it is the number 3 BMW that leads from the number 16 BMW, so that's the second place car there, but the number 11 car is a lap down still. In fact, it's a couple of laps down after its unscheduled stop earlier on. It's still counted as its mandatory stop, and I think they were in there for a bit longer than the mandatory 3 minutes, so they lost a couple of laps in the process. There is the Carl Redshaw car, Carl Redshaw started car that Daniel Taylor is doing the second half of the race in. Car number 3 pulling away at the front of the field. The BMW M3 is looking very strong here, but of course Rory Hind has yet to make his pit stop, so there is a theory here that says that he might start to drop down the order after the pit stop has happened. So the leaders make their way down through Stowe. Further back in the field, this is Matt Feisey. No doubt about who's in this car. Matt Feisey, the Class B points leader, having another really, really promising day. And if the strategy starts to work out for him, he should move further up the order because he's already pitted, whereas some of those around him have not. And it looks like those that pitted behind the safety car still lost a lap, but of course they lost a little bit less time than they would have done had they pitted under green. So I do think the race is going to come to some of those that have already stopped. A few of those that haven't yet stopped might find themselves slipping down the order slightly. That's why everything is a little bit jumbled up at the moment, but at the front of the field it is definitely Rory Hind leading from Andy Marston. And Andy Marston, of course, the number 16 car will hand over to Brett Evans. So most of the cars that have single driver entries have already stopped. Luke Sedgwickowski, I believe, is the highest placed car that has made its pit stop. Darren Ball has also pitted. So too, of course, had Martin James earlier on in the race. So Martin James, who we can see just in front of us, actually, we're on board with Matt Feisey. That white and blue Honda Civic in the distance is Martin James, and in fact that was Darren Ball going through, I think. So these are all cars that have stopped, and they're trying to just pick their way through the traffic, get into some clean air and set some quick lap times, because if they don't lose too much time to the leading group, they should, in theory, leapfrog ahead of them by actually quite a significant margin once they make their pit stops. But it's all about surviving the very busy restart now. You can see how busy it is. On board with Matt Feisey in front of us in the 53 machine. That's one of the Mazda MX-5, isn't it? Working its way through. Sorry, 52, excuse me, Paul Sheard. Look at them, 3 and 4 abreast. We've got Minis, Mazdas, Hondas, BMWs. The BMW of Darren Ball almost gets into the side there of Jeff Gurrier in the 93 Mazda MX-5. Matt Feisey tries to pick his way through as well. This is all getting very, very congested indeed as they work their way back out of Club Corner again. But Matt Feisey is chasing down that BMW that's just gone past him. That is for position, but they are in different classes. It's the Class A BMW that just went ahead of the Class B Porsche. This is the Class A BMW leading the race though even, and it is race leader Rory Hind, who works his way down into Stowe Corner. And this car sitting pretty at the moment, but how is the strategy going to unfold? Well, that was anything but pretty through Stowe Corner. Lots of opposite lock, and now he dives into the pit lane. So in comes Rory Hind to hand over to Owen Fitzgerald. Now, the question is, how much time is this going to lose them? They're almost certainly going to lose the lead. Of course, they will initially anyway, as some others maybe don't pit just yet, but is it going to hurt them in the long run? Well, there is Owen Fitzgerald waving him in, and Rory Hind pulls in, stops, switches off the car. Car has to be switched off before the driver change can take place. Then he starts undoing his belt. You can't start doing that until you've stopped the car. That now gives Andy Marston the race lead, with Carl Redshaw into second position. So it's still a BMW 1-2. BMW's really running strongly this weekend. Hard pushed in a way to see a non-BMW winning the race at the moment, unless, of course, Martin James could find a way right up to the sharp end of the field. We're on board with the Tony Hobson number 9 car that was started by Tony Hobson, and I believe Johnny Sharp has now taken that over. Here is Matt Feisey. There is Darren Ball in front of us as we work our way now through Abbey Corner. And we know that Martin James is not that much further up the road in front of us as well. So hard on the brakes they go. Cartek liveried car of Darren Ball, and the car that's been around since for quite a few years now actually. That is of course the E92 shape BMW M3, the same shape M3 that Luke Sedgwickowski is using, as opposed to the likes of the Andy Marston Brett Evans E46 M3, which is the slightly boxier version. You can see the Matt Feisey through the corners. The rear engine Porsche is really handling well, but just loses out in a straight line to some of the more powerful Class A cars. Squinting your brakes as he drops down the gears into Stowe Corner, hooks the apex nicely though. Really satisfying corner when you get it right, but a frustrating one when it goes wrong, because it just goes on forever, and if you get it wrong on the way in, then you're going to be hurting all the way through and all the way out of the corner, probably under attack down through Bale. But you can see through this technical part of the circuit, the way that Matt Feisey is closing in on Darren Ball, he'll have a much better exit, you'd imagine, from Club Corner, flat out just about through this second half of Club. Yes, up through the gears actually through Club, but then they get out onto the straight and just lose ground. Now there was a car off there to the side of the road, which I fear was one of the Minis, wasn't it? Possibly Vicky Brooks, who's pulled the number 107 Mini off to the side of the road, but it's well off the road. Hopefully that won't require another safety car. There's Steve Cheatham's Porsche that we saw spinning not long before the safety car came out, making its way out of Club Corner. Honda S2000 in there as well, great variety, everything from four-door saloons to sort of two-door sports cars, and pretty much everything in between. Stuart Dayburn and David Trigg is at the wheel of the Honda S2000. Down the back straight, we are seeing that, I think, is Luke Sedgwickowski diving up the inside line. Now, Luke Sedgwickowski is not in the lead at the moment, but by my reckoning, he is the lead car to have stopped. So things could be about to really fall into the hands of Luke in his BMW M3. But we're going to have to wait to see how this all unravels. First of all, back with Matt Feisey as he chases down Darren Ball, who really is struggling to pick his way through the traffic, through the second apex club, out onto the pit straight they go. And we've got the little Peugeot in front, which is a car that is making, I believe it's debut. It's certainly the first time we've seen it in the races that we've covered this year. It's just being lapped by a few of the quicker cars as it goes through, but that little Peugeot, a great addition to the Cartek Club Enduro Championship. A very distinctive livery as well on the car, which is always nice to see. The RCZ of Charles Campbell and Graham Leggett, car number 4 that is. Graham Leggett, 61-year-old, and indeed Charlie Campbell, 64, hoping to use their years of experience to take them to the very front of the field. In fact, Charlie Campbell, his last race was in 2002 before he started racing this championship, and it was in Texas, so this is all a little bit different maybe from the last time that he was out on track. Back out into the race, by the way, and onto the track goes the number 9 VW Golf with Johnny Sharp now at the wheel. So in fact Johnny hadn't yet taken over, but he is now on board the Golf, rejoins immediately back into the thick of it. And there's never a dull moment, there's never a quiet moment in the Cartek Club Enduro Championship. There's always someone around you, whether you're fighting them for position or not. There's always something going on. He pulls up alongside the little Ginetta of Stefan Nadarajan. And you've got the 27 Mazda in there as well, which was started by Alex Duffy. John Monroe is now in the car. And there, the number 11 BMW that was started by Nathan Harrison now has Mika Brown at the wheel. Out goes finally the Owen Fitzgerald BMW, so you can see just how long that you have to spend in the pit lane. 3 minutes is about 2.5 laps around here. So that really does hurt you. Now, this isn't in the plan, though. This is Johnny Sharp bringing the number 9 VW back into the pit lane. Now, this was his out lap, so he's not due back with us yet. So, presumably, there was some sort of an issue with the pit stop. So, something didn't get done right, or there's a problem that's been discovered on the out lap. Either way, that car is back into the pit lane and going to start dropping down the order. So, heading back out onto the track there, the number 2 car. That was the car that Mark Harris started. Now has Robert Howard on board. There goes the Andy Marston and Brett Evans BMW round the outside. Now that car, I think, has pitted now as well, so it's Brett Evans back in the car. The reason I think it's pitted is because I think I spotted not far up the road Owen Fitzgerald. Yes, there goes Fitzgerald. So I think they've come out of the pit lane much the same sort of distance between the two of them as they had when they came in, but they've dropped down the order quite substantially. So it does look as though Owen Fitzgerald's going to have his hands full trying to get a really good result now for the number 3 BMW. A top 10, probably the best that we could hope for. I think the bulk of the top 10 are going to be filled out by drivers and teams that pitted before or at the safety car. I think that's definitely the right way to go about it. Maybe some of the teams were hoping it would be a quick safety car and they could maybe keep their quicker driver in for a few more green flag laps afterwards, but it's very difficult to call the race strategy. It's easy for me to say it up here with hindsight in the box, but down on the pit wall in the heat of the moment, making the right decision is not the easiest job in the world, and that's why top level race engineers and strategists get paid the big bucks, because you really will win and lose a race with good or bad strategy. So there's the 16 BMW diving up the inside. We've got the number 40 car of Carl Redshaw not far behind as well. So those 3 cars that were all running really well beforehand, they may have just lost a bit of time here. Maybe, or in fact, it won't be Carl Redshaw, but Daniel Taylor is now taking over that car for the second stint. Back on board with Matt Firesy. And this battle that he's been having with Darren Ball is still ongoing. And Martin James in the mix as well there in the Civic, who dives up the inside line. Darren Ball also up the inside of some of the back markers. Firesy will try to use the back markers to his advantage. The slightly more nimble car, if it catches the traffic through the corners, it might have a slightly easier time of getting through, but because it's down on power, it can't just drive past the slower cars in a straight line quite as easily. So you've got to try and pick and choose your moments. But the Area Motorsport Civic and Martin James running well here. It's a shame they had that issue with the splitter, but the way he's going at the moment, he could be on for a top 5 result still. So back onto the hangar straight they go. So work now towards the closing stages of what has been a very entertaining Cartek Club Enduro Championship race. Still, the outcome of it is far from set in stone. There is Luke Sejkowski, though, who looks as though he's going to come out of this with the race lead. Behind him, Justin Newnham in the 168 Mazda MX-5, dives past a slightly slower Mini. here's Matt Feisey, and just a bit deep into Vale there, so can't really afford to be doing that. That's the part of the circuit where he is strong. In front of us, though, look, Darren Ball trying to get past Martin James. Now, this is for position, remember, and Darren Ball is trying to take away what could transpire to be a podium position here. Here's the battle between Owen Fitzgerald and Brett Evans. These are pretty much the two highest placed cars that have that made their pit stop after the safety car. You see the gap that they pulled now over the number 40 BMW in the background. Down the hill into the braking zone comes the number 11 car of Mika Brown. That's the 78 car of Kevin Dengate. Well, it was Kevin Dengate, it's now Chris Lovett who is in that car. They're running outside the top 10, but they've been sort of there or thereabouts all race long. Across the start-finish line they go again up towards Abbey Corner, and a very slow car there. That's one of the Renault Clios. It's the older shape Renault Clio that's running into some issues by the looks of it. And appears to be pulling off. That I think was number 7 example of Rob Carter and Stuart Claverley. Hopefully they'll be able to get the car out of the way. The last thing we want is another late safety car to really mess with the strategy here. More to the point, we want to see the racing continue right to the checkered flag. 78 car works its way down the hill, and Chris Lovett out onto the hangar straight once more. Not quite able to keep with the GT4 spec BMW in front for the time being. Great to have that car on the grid. You can see the speed with which it approaches Stoke Corner. It's visibly quicker than anything else. There's that battle between Fitzgerald and Evans off in the background as we follow down into the corner. The Honda S2000 once again, and behind it, this BMW, which we haven't seen all that much of actually in this race. This is the number 70 example of Steve Hewson and Matt Nossiter. And Steve Hewson, of course, and Matt Nossiter Class C championship leaders. They are the outright championship leaders as well, by virtue of the fact they've scored more points in their class than anybody else has in theirs. So back on board down towards Vale again. And, down into 3rd gear, interestingly, for that corner for Owen Fitzgerald. And Brett Evans right with him now. This is a battle for position, albeit one that at the moment is outside the top 10, but they should continue to pick their way through. Looks like Brett Evans is the quicker of the two at the moment. Fitzgerald flings the car into Abbey Corner and gets a real tail slide through what is such a daunting corner. There may be lots of runoff area there, but if you go off at that sort of speed, you're going to know about it. And it's something the drivers are all keen to avoid. Fitzgerald defending heavily here in towards Village. Evans goes to the outside. Now we've seen that number 3 car is very quick in a straight line. It has a little bit less aero than the slightly newer M3 behind. And so Brett Evans will be trying to use that through the corners to close in. But then in a straight line, he might struggle to try keep up with the slightly sleeker shaped car. But look at that, Fitzgerald pulls over to the inside to defend. So he's feeling the pressure here. Where is Brett Evans? Fitzgerald now, after a momentary defence, pulled back over to the racing line again. Doesn't feel the need to drive right down the inside, but that might have been a mistake because Brett Evans goes up the inside and goes through. Nice move there, sold in the dummy almost. You can see that from Fitzgerald's point of view. He didn't think he had to defend, and in the end, it turned out that maybe he should have done. And then the back marker in the next corner doesn't exactly help matters, so he loses a bit of ground to Evans immediately. There's just a new one there, and at the inside of him is going the number 25 BMW, that's Russell Clark. I don't think he's in position with Russell Clark, just negotiating that markers nice and cleanly, but back with Matt Feisey again. Now Matt Feisey in these later stages of the race is running in 5th position, I believe, so Matt Feisey is doing really, really well here in the Porsche. The number 24 car making its way into the pit lane just behind it. That was the Porsche 94 of Lee Sharples and Roger Bracewell. 133 BMW, which is another car we haven't really seen much of. That was Sheng Ping Yuan, who was starting that car. Cha and Yang, who took over. Matt Feisey in the Porsche, which just seems to run like clockwork, doesn't it? Of course, I've cursed him now by saying that, but thus far this season, really, Matt Feisey's Porsche has been one of the most reliable cars out there, and yet it's one of the oldest cars out there, which goes to show with enough TLC. And all of these drivers, you can be assured, provide plenty of that when it comes to the upkeeping of their cars. With enough of that, then you can make a car that really will outperform what you expect it to. Back with Owen Fitzgerald, he's sticking with Brett Evans here as they drop down the gears into Vale. We are now into the final few minutes of the race. Brett Evans not really being able to pull away massively, but Owen Fitzgerald hopefully will be able to stick with him. And in fact, the Mazda gets in the way there. Fitzgerald gets the run back on him as they come across the start-finish line again. And Owen Fitzgerald Have the inside line into Abbey Corner. This way you need the grip though from the extra downforce, but he slides his way through. Steve Cheetham is rejoining the circuit in front of us. That's the second pit stop of the race for the Porsche, and by sitting on the inside line that takes away a possible overtaking opportunity there for Brett Evans. So Owen Fitzgerald sails around the outside and stays in front. We've got the two teammate cars here, the 72 and the 27 Astra MX-5s. 27, the one we've spoken about a few times, that's the car that was started by Alex Duffy with John Monroe now on board. 72 is Graham McMurchie and Nick Dougal, and it is the 72 car that's running furthest up the road at the moment, possibly because of the damage there that has been incurred to the 27. There's Darren Ball, working his way through the traffic quite nicely. So these two cars not fighting for position, 72 and 27, they're on different laps, but the two teammate cars, this will make a good photo opportunity for the team on the pit wall. This has been enthralling all race long between these two cars. Now, I'm looking at the timing screens. Actually, they're being timed a lap apart, so this is not for position. Owen Fitzgerald had a really long stop for some reason, and so has dropped behind the number 16 BMW, which is in front of it now on the track by a few metres, but actually by a lap on the timing screen, but that will matter little really to them. They're going to continue to fight hard. We're on the final lap of the race though, and this is our race leader. Luke Sedgwickowski is working his way through the traffic, and one or two of them starting to ail towards the end of the race. We said it was likely to be a BMW that would. I don't think many of us picked this one, but Luke Sedgwickowski, a very experienced racer, the team likewise, and they are going to come home race winners by the look of it. And he is going to complete the perfect comeback after that testing crash on Friday. Luke Sedgwickowski brings the number 33 BMW out of Club Corner and wins the Silverstone round of the Cartek Club Enduro Championship by a fairly handsome margin in the end. He will take the race victory by 16.3 seconds over Darren Ball in second place. Martin James comes home third in the Civic, with Julian McBride's BMW in fourth. Matt Feisey in fifth, wins in Class B by a very comfortable margin indeed. Carl Redshaw and Daniel Taylor are next ahead of Andy Marston and Brett Evans. Martin Duffy and Andrew Armstrong's BMW wins the Invitational class, with Bill Forbes and Steve Cheetham's Boxster rounding out the top 10. Early contenders Rory Hind and Owen Fitzgerald end up 11th, and likewise Nathan Harrison and Mika Brown are only 12th, and it's Kevin Dengate and Chris Lovett, Shenping Yuan and Shi An Yang, and 15th place and a class victory, remarkably, for Steve Hewson and Matt Nossiter, the car that had a burst power steering hose in the assembly area minutes before the race started, and they come home to win the class and keep themselves right in championship contention. Fantastic stuff from them, great work by the team. We see the rest of the finishers cycling through now. It was a thoroughly entertaining race here at Silverstone. The 2 hours flew by. We had a great battle at the front of the field and a fantastic performance there for the Class C winners, in particular one of the teams of the day.
Firstly, congratulations. 2 hours behind the wheel here at Silverstone. Couldn't have not only a class win, but win overall. Well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was brilliant fun. My first Club Enduro race, and yeah, first race for my car, first race for me, doing it all myself, and yeah, couldn't have asked for a better result.
Yeah, and your car that came second behind you, you built it as well, Darren Ball's BMW.
Yeah, it's quite rewarding really. I know he's done a lot of Club Enduros and not had so much success, but yeah, the fact that two cars TI Motorsport have built, first, second, brilliant result.
We came into this race, we think we were around about 23 points ahead when we came into this race. We don't know where second in the championship has actually come. We may have won Class B, we don't know. Which is torture for me, talking to you now.
And what else was torture was your brakes in that race.
Yes, I've never experienced brake shudder that goes all the way through the seat. We think we've got a major issue with the front wishbone for the last 50 minutes of the race. It was lift, coast, turn in and barely touch the brakes as best we could. We've had a wonderful run mechanically. You know, up until today, we've done, 10 hours of racing this season, plus qualifying, and the car's been beautiful. Unfortunately, today we've suffered, but we've still won, so we're happy.
Class C winner, Stephen Hewson and Matt Nossiter. You came into the round leading the championship. You blew the high-pressure hose off your steering rack just before the start of the race. So just to finish here is a feat, but to come first in class, well done.
Thanks, yeah, much more than we expected. We had a phone call from Matt in the collecting area saying that it had lost all the power steering fluid. We had to get it back to the garage, repair it, but we couldn't get the power steering working, so we had to do the whole race without power steering. And by the time we'd got him out onto track, he was half a lap down at the start. Got about, I think, 15 places up during your stint before the safety car.
Yeah, I think came in P3 in class when the safety car was deployed, and then you did the rest.
Pitted and swapped over. We were lucky-ish with the safety car and that the light just went green as we went out the end of the pit lane. We got caught out at Spa with exactly the opposite. So yeah, after that it was just head down and slog through, but I'm exhausted.
Yeah, we're all exhausted from watching it as well. But congratulations. Obviously the championship's in sight now. You've got to keep going. So well done.
Thank you very much. Let's keep at it.
Thank you.